that game had its moments for sure. I mean, Penn State was going to basically make sure that Genty didn't run all over them. And it's very hard to do. It's very hard to run when you got 8, 9, 10 guys on you. And you made some. You caught some action that showed like even with that he was. It's gonna translate to Sundays because he was able to carry people, drag people. It was basically his legs and his will getting him 7, 8 yards, where in any other game, he's picking up 10, 15, 20, 30 yards on that. So the performance of that of Boise State is no indicator to me on what Ashton Genty's going to do in the next level. Being there for you had been special because, like you said, most people don't know this. And I know if you're watching this, half of you guys know this, half of you don't. But Patrick and Teresa and Michael's dad, Penn State guy, went to school there. So the lineage of the Nittany Lions, I mean, hell, you guys had a boat named that, something like that, right? Wasn't it the Nittany Sea Lions?
The Nittany Sea Lion, yeah.
Dude, that's dope. I'm not a Penn State guy, OHIO. I just did that to myself. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I did. But you get it. So being able to do that's got to be special. Being able to have all that access, being down there, seeing all that. That picture you took of James Franklin with the confetti falling behind him, bro, I know they like to use that hanging in the Louvre, but legitimately hang that up. That might be one of your top 5 best photos you've ever taken because of the magnitude of the moment.
Yeah.
From winning a Fiesta Bowl, moving on to the next round in the playoffs, and just how clean it was of just like him walking into it, knowing it's not over yet. You could feel it in the photo. It's really awesome. But with you being there, what was your sense of the game, right before kickoff? Did you feel like Boise State felt confident? Was Penn State kind of walking in all business? Kind of what was your feel being there on the field?
Man, there's a lot to
as I pop this whiskey.
Right. A lot to why is it gave you a thumbs down? I don't know, but either way, thumbs up on that whiskey. But anyways, yeah, I mean, there was a lot to react to, whether it was pregame, postgame, like you said, being having a father who went to Penn State and all that. So I have a lot of memories when it comes to Penn State. But again, when people were kind of talking about this game, the thing was that Boise State is outmatched, right?
Right.
But when it came to the crowd, Penn State was outmatched. Man, there were a lot of Boise State fans there. It was wild. That just reminded me of some clips I had. I got some videos of Boise State fans trash talking before the game, and I have to say they got super creative. Looking at the end result, they probably won't like me posting that stuff because the comments will be like, well, look at you now, right? But again, packed with Boise State fans. Yeah, and I didn't really know much about Boise State as a team. Again, on this show, we'd go on a lot of rants and tangents. I was out there very early on the field before anyone else was out there. Walked out. I was out there when Flavor Flav was out there with the Penn State band and no one else, right? But I was out there when Boise State got out there. They did their pregame prayer as a team, nice. Which they always do. They're very much like, giving credit to the Lord. There's one true champion that they serve. That's like their thing that they talk about. And so either way, like, it was kind of hard to read like their confidence or anything, but they were together as a team. They were out there early warming up. It was really cool to see. It didn't seem like the moment was too big for them. It just seemed like Penn State really had a plan for Ashton Genty. They were going to make the passing game beat them. And then, in the post game, that's kind of what James Franklin said. Someone asked a question like, how do you feel you did against Ashton Genty? You were able to like sort of corral him, right? Those were the words, sort of corral him. And, he had 100 yards. Genty had 100 yards. Right. I think he rushed over 30 times. But Franklin was like, no, we didn't sort of corral him. We did corral him. We did a good job of gang tackling him. And they did. They loaded the box and they made the passing game beat him. And the passing game, had a couple big moments, but not enough to overcome Penn State and their defense. There was a couple picks, couple fumbles. Genty fumbled the ball twice. That was probably
he hadn't had 2 fumbles all year. And for him to have 2 fumbles in the first half.
They got one back, but still and so again, I just posted a video not too long ago of the post game of Ashton. It's really weird when the post game they walk up, they sit down. It's not like reporters just start asking questions. You now wait for the head coach to come make a statement. So they were sitting there for a couple minutes, silent, right? And so Ashton Genty's just sitting there with his dreads hanging, his eyes low, and like looking up at the reporters, like kind of slowly nodding, like taking in the moment, and just, it's kind of sad and somber, but like, I mean, it's really crazy to be there, see the celebration of Penn State and these guys cheering, the confetti falling like they just won the Super Bowl. And then the guys like Ashton Genty, like, barely able to look people in the eye. They know they fumbled the ball twice. They could have done more, whatever it is. It's just like, it's a lot to take in, and it's quite the moment. And speaking about that confetti, I did think it was funny. I thought it was awesome. First off, running in that confetti, I got video like, this is crazy. But I got some great photos. And one thing I did notice, and shout out to the Fiesta Bowl, they did a great job putting things on, and it was awesome. I can't wait to go to the next one, which will be a semifinal, by the way.
Oh yeah,
but
nice.
but either way, I did notice, like in the Rose Bowl, in the Cotton Bowl, no confetti. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Nothing's over yet, right? Like this is just on to the next round for a lot of teams. So I do wonder if that was like, if teams kind of chose we don't want confetti, or if that was like a Rose Bowl thing, a Cotton Bowl
I
thing,
think it might
a Peach
be.
Bowl thing. Well, that wasn't Cotton Bowl. Sorry, Cotton Bowl's next. Peach Bowl, but
part of it maybe Rose Bowl's outdoor, Fiesta Bowl's indoor. Two, the Fiesta Bowl treats it like it's its own, because it is its own thing. They're not treating it like this is part of the playoffs on to the next round. That's what college football is treating it, but they're treating it like this is the Fiesta Bowl, because that's what this is. This is our time for these two teams from somewhere else in the country to come here and play in a very meaningful game, and we're going to put out and show out for them. And like you said, you were there when the teams came in, because you did like Pat did like the full immersed experience of like going to Sky Harbor Airport to go to the tarmac to see the guys off the planes. And you said, and we kind of joked, Boise State rolls in on Sun Country, love Sun Country, have flown them a few times, but they're more of a regional plane. They had one plane. Penn State came in with like 4 737s. They're on like American Airlines or Delta. You knew right then that Boise State was in trouble. But you'd said that you even noticed the players were like, wow, this is really cool. Like to get greeted like this. Like they don't get greeted like that on the road. So for them to, get in there and have an experience of the Fiesta Bowl, the committee's there waiting to greet them as they come down the stairs, and they get their swag bags, and, they have fans there. You said there was fans and maybe some boosters and things like that. They're cheering for them and stuff on both sides. So it is an experience. It is about the mystique that is, or not mystique, I don't want to use that term, but like the Fiesta Bowl being its own thing and them celebrating that. And I appreciate the fact that they did it, because at the end of the day, some of these kids are never going to play football again after this. So those kids at Boise State, this is their last game ever. They're not going to move on to the next round. They're not going to go or they're not in college next year. They're not going to the NFL. So you have some of those guys. Penn State, this could be their last game moving into this one, because right now the next game they're playing could be the last. They're playing Notre Dame. So we'll see. So to me, I'm glad they did that. I don't know about the other places not doing it for what reasons, but to me, I really appreciate the fact that they did that. Because it does, it should be. It's a memory these guys are going to hold forever, and that confetti is something that's been around forever. I mean, ticker tape parades. They dropped confetti when the boys came back from World War II. You know what I'm saying? Like it's in the zeitgeist that is American culture. So to not have it almost is kind of weird.
Yeah, and again, so we established that before this game, Penn State was 7-0 in the Fiesta Bowl. Boise State was 3-0 in the Fiesta Bowl. So now Penn State's 8-0. This was kind of like the battle of the king of the Fiesta Bowl, right?
Right.
So
yeah,
now,
the undefeateds.
Penn State is officially the king of the Fiesta Bowl. I know James Franklin said they're happy to come back to the Fiesta Bowl every year, knowing that they're undefeated. Penn State's certainly had a great experience there. But yeah, no, it was interesting. And like you said, the airplane thing. I've never done it before. Figured, how many opportunities am I going to get to greet a team at the airport? I have a couple cousins that are pilots. My brother is a pilot. They don't think that stuff is that cool. I mean, they kind of, you text them, they're like, oh, who cares? But they also joke around a lot. But anyways, Maddox Madsen, right?
Right. Yeah.
Gets off the plane.
Quarterback, Boise State.
Right. Yeah, so Maddox Madsen gets off the plane, has an interview in the tarmac, and I hear him go, man, like I've never had an interview after just waking up from a nap. He's like, I just had a nice nap. And they're like, and then someone goes, have you ever had an interview on an airplane tarmac? Like, he's like, no. So like, it's a first, he just woke up from a nap and you're doing an interview. Like, but again, they rolled out the carpet for both teams, blue carpet. Like you said, the committee was there, but yeah, it was kind of crazy to see one plane, and it was two for Penn State, but again, two bigger planes. And it was like, I was like, dang, is there 1,000 people on that, Boise State plane? But it was, I will say, Boise State, Sun Country. Sun Country is Boise State colors, so it was kind of awesome.
Right.
Like,
And they
I
are,
also
I do
wondered,
believe they are the official airline for Boise State.
but yeah,
So
no,
it
I mean,
makes sense that they would be
all the,
wearing it.
because again, like you said, at those events, not to get too much into it, like it's the Fiesta Bowl committee, it's the boosters, and then it's like the media people who are at both, and so the people who are at Boise State and then at Penn State, like it was a noticeable difference at how deep Penn State rolls, and it made me wonder, like
Mhm.
how deep does Ohio State roll?
Oh my
Like,
gosh. I mean, probably just
yeah,
the same. I mean, Penn State's one of those. I mean, they're one of the biggest programs in college football. I mean, they haven't had like they win, but they haven't had like the big wins to be like considered one of those, but they could be. I mean, we could have an all Big Ten championship. Really could be Ohio State, Penn State. Wouldn't that be crazy? I mean, we're just going to get into all of that, but like, so that was awesome. You're able to be there. The game wasn't as competitive as one would have hoped, but like you said, nobody really gave Boise State a chance in this, anyways.
mhm.
They played their tails off this whole season. They had a hell of a year. They can hang their hats on the fact that they had a great season. They battled in a bowl game, and they had a guy do something that a handful of guys in all of college football history has done. So it's
Which,
something to
by the
be
way,
proud
he
of.
just entered the draft, so
Yeah, absolutely. So good luck to him. Can't wait to see what he does in the combine and see
mhm.
where he gets drafted. Hopefully, somewhere that's going to give him the ability to show his capabilities and what
Right.
he's
And
able to do.
again,
'Cause, man, he is he's special. He really is a bad.
right.
He's bad.
Right, and I just want to touch on this again, back to what James Franklin said specifically about Ashton Genty, right? Like, he said they were able to corral him, right? Just kind of giving his
Mhm.
guys props. Like, they did a
Sure.
good job. He did get 100 yards, but he also said, like, at the end of this game, like, they respected him before the game, but they respected him even more. Like, even after that game, even, being able to corral him, they have a lot of respect for him. They know how hard he is to tackle. You have
Right.
to gang tackle that guy, right? And so,
Can't hit him
like,
with one person doesn't bring him down.
right, in the NFL, like, defenses aren't going to be able to just kind of like hone in on him the way Penn State did. So I
Right.
really don't think it was just like, oh, Ashton Genty, like, yeah, okay, if you want to go, oh, Ashton Genty hasn't been facing a defense as good as these Big Ten defenses. Like, you know, everyone knows that Boise State, their game plan is hand the ball to Ashton, get our running game going. And again, even in the post game, someone asked Ashton, like, were you waiting for the big one to break, right? And he said, like, yeah, because kind of like that's their game plan, and that's his experience. Is like you keep running, and then you eventually wear guys down,
Mhm.
and you expect for what he's always expecting the big one to break, and it just didn't happen. But that was Penn State's game plan: stop Ashton, and but they still left that game with tons of respect for him. So I think going in the NFL, you're not going to be able to focus on Ashton like
Right.
that. The fact that he is hard to tackle, you have to gang tackle him. He has that contact balance, which has been a buzzword lately, especially with Cam Scatterbu. Like, he's
Those
one of
2
those guys,
guys.
seeks contact, has great contact balance, great speed. That's going to translate.
100%.